Dr. Olumuyiwa Odusote, who is the chairman, Medical Guild in Lagos. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, it's day 2 of the strike, isn't it?
Yes, this is day 2.
One more day for the warning strike. But by the way, after the warning strike, what happens? Is it going to be an indefinite strike or you go back to work?
No, after the warning strike, we go back to work. And we hope that government is going to use that window period to resolve these issues.
Well, the Lagos State government says, look, we're paying commerce at different levels, different stages. Why are you on strike?
We're on strike because Lagos State government is not paying commerce as contained in the circular that was released by the federal government and as agreed with us in an agreement that was brokered by the former governor of Lagos State.
So this is about salaries?
It's about appropriate remunerations.
Let's break it down. First, we're told that you're being paid commerce 100% yesterday, specifically by Mr. Wale Ahmed, the Commissioner for Special Duties. Secondly, how logical can that be for a house officer who is, if you want to look at it logically, he's understudying, be given or be paid teaching allowance? Why would you ask that a house officer be paid a teaching allowance?
Well, let me start by saying the special advisor Misinform negotiations. You will recall that various government officials have been singing various tunes since this issue started. With one mouth, they tell you they're paying 100% commerce. With another mouth, they tell you, well, we are paying 75% or we will pay 100%. The same people will tell you that, well, we are paying commerce at different stages, at different levels. You know, how does that come to 100%? And that is incorrect information that has been given to the public. The circular that was released by federal government on commerce included teaching allowance for all doctors.
At the federal level?
Yes, at the federal level. And doctors at LUT, Federal Medical Center, Odusote, are all earning this teaching allowance.
Including house doctors?
Including house officers.
Is it appropriate?
It is appropriate. We are talking about remunerations here. And these issues came about because we come to realize that doctors are being poorly paid in this country, and then we are demanding that they give the best.
No, we're not talking about doctors. I'm asking about house officers. Is it appropriate? I know. Is it appropriate for them to get teaching allowance? That's what we're asking.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to explain the reason, how that came about. Okay? Now, if a nurse on level 9 is being paid teaching allowance, why will you not pay a doctor on level 10 the same allowance? And that's the question.
Who are they teaching? You know, we're trying to look at it, a house officer is a junior doctor, right?
Yeah.
And supposed to be like a leg man, a foot man to other doctors. So what does he teach?
You will recall that healthcare providers are not only doctors. And doctors do not work alone. And if doctors are going to work effectively, those they are working with must know exactly what they ought to do at every point in time. Particularly when there's an emergency. That's not when you now start giving instruction to everybody that is on the team. Somebody must put them up to date. And the person that other health workers come most frequently in contact with are these same house officers.
And you said the federal government is paying its house officers.
The federal government is paying it.
Who are you negotiating with? Who are the representatives of the state?
Well, we are negotiating with the Honorable Commissioner of Health, Commissioner of Establishment, and the head of service of the state.
In other words, we're supposed to disregard anything every other person outside these ones who you're negotiating with says.
No,
officially.
No, we do not. You know, the way government operates. For example, we are also speaking with members of the House of Assembly just to ensure that we will resolve these issues.
Yeah, but
even before
that's at a mediatory level.
Yes, because that is what it has come to at this point.
Yeah, but if in terms of those who will meet your demands, That's the team you've mentioned.
Yes.
So if that team, or if somebody else outside that team, whether they're another arm of government, contradicts what that team says, are you supposed to believe what they say, contrary to what the team you're negotiating with says?
No, I do not really understand what you're driving at.
The people you're negotiating with say, listen, we're working on this, we're paying this commerce. And so if another person says we're paying 75, and they're not part of those who we are talking with who are supposed to take your request and meet your demand, are you supposed to take what they say seriously?
These people I've mentioned who we're negotiating with have told us categorically that they are not going to pay these other allowances, which is part of the commerce. And if that allowances are not paid, you cannot say you're paying 100% commerce, because the salary itself is not just a lump sum. It consists of basic salary, consists of commodity allowance, consists of teaching allowance, consists of specialist allowance for those who are specialists. So these are all components of the allowance. If you remove one, then you have reduced.
The government has said
and this government has who said with us, who agree with us. You remember that this struggle started in 2010. We went on strike for 2 months because of it. 2011, we had to go back to the same strike.
Well, I'm glad you just took us back, and that's
now
what, a moment here, Doc. That's one of the fears of some people. That you remember, one of the casualties was one of your union your head then. Now, people are saying that this has come to be a tradition of the doctors in Lagos State, that they go back and forth like a yo-yo, going off and on strike. So, and the government has said it will evoke the no work, no pay rule. You're aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So how do you feel after this 3 days warning strike, you don't get salaries for those 3 days?
Well, that will be surprising to me, because you will recall that every strike that has been embarked on in this country, the no work, no pay rule has always been brandished. And I can tell you that it has never been successfully implemented, because it cannot work.
But the Lagos State government says you do not give them appropriate time for notice, that in fact this strike took them by surprise.
No, that is not true.
That you're supposed to give them at least 12 days notice, and they did not see any such thing.
That is not true. This decision to go on this strike was taken last week Tuesday, and officers of the government were informed appropriately, and they called us to a meeting the following day.
It's last week Tuesday, 12 days.
Now, this strike is not a new strike. You will remember, this is the issues that have been on since 2010, and twice we have suspended that strike.
Oh, so this is a continuation.
It's a continuation. This is just the reason why we decided to go this way is to provide avenue for Lagosians and government itself to be able to prevent another protracted strike.
So you're giving them 4 days warning strike. I mean,
3 days.
3 days, and this is coming shortly after the Easter holidays. Are you sure this is not some ploy to just extend the holidays?
No, if it was a ploy to extend the holiday, we would have just continued from Tuesday.
The government also say that in Lagos State now that, well, they're looking for those who will do locum. And so if doctors will not come and do the job, they'll get somebody else to fill. Are you bothered or concerned about that?
Well, government has always said that. They said that last year. So we are not bothered about that.
So we're not taking government threats seriously. I mean, the fact that you can threaten and you carry out your threat, you don't take government's threat seriously, because... No,
you see, the issue is you have to ask what is reasonable and what is right. Is government threat reasonable? Is it right? And now, if it takes an average of 6 years to train a doctor, and even after you have trained them, you have said here today that a freshly trained doctor is like a boy, another boy to all the other senior doctors. Then how long do you think it will take a freshly trained doctor to become competent that you want to go and to see him and say, yeah, I think you can handle my case? Okay? And that is the issue. We are professionals here. We are not just any set of workers that you can replace by just the wave of the hand.
Going on strike, does it negate your hypocritic oath you took?
No. You remember that every worker has a fundamental right to withdraw his services if the what we call it, the agreement or the terms of his employment are being breached. And that is a fundamental right that is entrenched in law.
Okay. Since the Commissioner for Health is part of those who you're speaking with, so our health correspondent spoke with him. She did the report, but this is just that part where he spoke about this strike. Let's see what he says.
That the state government has not fully implemented what was agreed upon. To us in government, that is not correct. The governor approved full implementation of CONMES, and this is what is being implemented. Figure for figure, different levels, different people are collecting what is agreed on. Now, in implementation, because of the huge number of people involved, there might be mistakes here and there. And we've held a series of meetings with our colleagues since the beginning of this year. We may not agree on a number of things, but we have to work towards the final agreement. One issue they raised, which was bone of contention, is that house officers should be paid teaching allowance and level 12 officers. And information reaching us from our experience, those two levels are exempted from the category of people supposed to enjoy that. On the issue of executive taxation, what we told them, let's get the facts straight. Lagos State does not determine these taxes. We only collect taxes from the government. And these taxes are pegged, they are by law. So Lagos State does not have its own law on taxation. For Lagosians, yes, we regret this situation. We never planned for it. But we are doing everything possible, at least to mitigate the issues. In the various hospitals for now, we are ensuring that emergency services are on, especially for the critical ones.
What do you think?
Well, I think you gave inaccurate information.
About which one?
About the fact that they are paying full comments. Now let's even look at what are the real issues. We've talked about the teaching allowance. After the agreement for implementation of comments was reached with government started a new policy where staff who have been employed, for example, specialists who are coming into government employment new, are statutorily employed on level 15, step 4. Government dropped them from step 4 to step 1. And that means they were dropped 3 years. Now that means the profession as a whole has been sent back 3 years. That, we said that is not acceptable. Then somebody whom you employed 3 years ago, you give him a letter of employment saying he was employed on 15 step 4, and then after 3 years, you now tell him that you are going back to step 1. That means retroactively you are employing him on step 1. That by law cannot stand. That, to even common sense, is unreasonable. No, we have said that could not work. Why government is doing this? To ensure that they don't pay the money they are supposed to pay. And this, before comments was approved, we have to calculate to the nearest naira and kobo what is the cost implication. Because why the governor refused to assent to it in the beginning was that it was going to double the wage bill. But when we were able to prove to him that it was not going to double the wage bill, that was not going to increase the wage bill by about 37 million naira monthly. And he said, well, the state can afford that. And that was why he signed something into law. But when the bureaucrat was to implement, they started bringing up this issue. They dropped so many doctors' steps. They compressed steps. Somebody who is on step 11 was brought to step 2.
So the problem now is with implementation, not that the government has not agreed to pay.
The government agrees to pay. But now, they're not saying that they're not going to pay again. Now, the issue of teaching allowance was extensively discussed. Even the national president of NMA came to a meeting, and this issue were resolved. Only for us to hear now that it's now an issue, and they're not telling us to come and renegotiate.
Okay, assuming you've said that government has not implemented this 100%. Even the commissioner who came around yesterday agreed with that, but he was very firmly of the view, like I think one of your colleagues said, that it was about 90%. If you were to say, give them a percentage as to how they have implemented this, what would it be?
Now, it's not that straightforward.
You don't want to deal with percentages.
No, I don't want to deal with percentage because the issues are this. Doctors from various cadres were brought down. Like I just give you an example. Somebody on step 11 was brought to step 2. What percentage are you going to put that? Now, it's not as if it's a flat thing that was not for everybody like that. this thing was scattered, and we've given them a compendium of all doctors that are involved, but they are still foot dragging. This, we started complaining about this thing about 12 months ago, and we've been engaging them. They keep promising us, oh, then the last meeting we had that actually broke the ice was when the Commissioner of Establishment told us that, well, 2012 budget is gone, that maybe they can put it in 2013 budget. This was only that already agreed to and had been signed. Now you are not saying that you didn't budget for it. That means by the time you are agreeing, making that agreement, you never plan to implement.
Are you scheduled to meet again anytime soon?
Well, the government has not called us since last week that we declared, since the Wednesday meeting that we had. The government has not called us. Instead, they have been planning their own war strategies. And we are saying to Lagosians that this is not a matter of war. This is a matter of doing what is right, what is appropriate. They should prevail on their government to do the right thing. Right. People expect the best from us. We expect the minimum from government.